have a default mode on how we handle conflict. Now, maybe you've thought about your default, but maybe you haven't. So let me just give you a description of the spectrum. Some of you fall all the way over to this end, where your preference is harmony. Keep the peace. Don't rock the boat. Others of you are all the way over to this end of the spectrum. High D on the disc profile. I mean, not only rock the boat, tip it over. I disagree. I don't think that's right. Wherever you fall on that spectrum, here's the deal. It can create tension on your teams. Can you relate? Regardless of how you handle conflict, there's going to be other people on your team who have a different style, who have a different preference. And that can create some tension. But here's what we know, that the strongest teams have an ability to have healthy, productive conflict. And if you don't train as a team for how to have that conflict, and you leave it to chance, the default oftentimes is dysfunction. And then furthermore, if you don't address and train as a team when it's dysfunctional conflict, you're going to end up all the way over into toxic conflict. Okay, I'm seeing you nod. I'm guessing that's a nodding of knowing, Bill, is it? Yeah. Once it's toxic, there's actually 4 behaviors that show up. Blaming or criticism. That evokes defensiveness, number 2. Once you've got blaming and defensiveness in the system, then contempt is not far behind. And then when there's contempt, you're emotionally flooded, there's stonewalling. So here's what we know. You need to figure out and train to have healthy conflict, because the highest performing teams aren't over here in the harmony, keep the peace. And they're not over here in the toxic conflict. They're right here where they have balanced communication. They're able to balance inquiry with advocacy. And they're able to balance the different styles and the different voices so that you can have the most energy, synergy, innovation. Because disagreement is good. It's healthy. Conflict is healthy in organizations. So, what do you do if you're on a team and you know that there's some conflict and it's not particularly productive? That's what we're going to focus on today. I'm going to give you a tool, a thoughtfully fit team tool, to help you navigate and balance that conflict in a productive, healthy way. Because just like if you're physically fit, you need to train and practice. It doesn't happen by accident. You don't get abs of steel by doing nothing. In the same way, if you want to have strong team dynamics, you need to train and practice. So this thoughtfully fit team tool has 3 steps, 3 parts. We call it the 3 C's. I'm going to give you a quick overview, and then we're going to dive deeper. First C is courage. Second C is compassion. Third C is curiosity. What does that mean? Well, first of all, if you want to have healthy conflict, you need to balance what you want and need and how you're feeling with how someone else is feeling and what they want and need. If your default is over here, like keep the peace and harmony, chances are you need to turn the volume up a little bit on the courage. And that can be hard. The good news is, when you turn the volume up on courage, you don't have to turn the volume down on compassion. So if you're over here in harmony, you already got half of that. You have the compassion. Courage is about being able to say what you want and need and say it in a way that it can be heard. That's the compassion part. But it's not enough to only be able to advocate, have the courage to say what you want with compassion so the other person can hear it. The other part of the equation is to be able to have the curiosity to find out, what do you want? What do you need? How do you feel? And what oftentimes happens when I'm coaching leaders and teams is there's a fear. Like, okay, if I turn the courage up, I'm going to shut the other person down. I'm going to be too aggressive. I want you to think about it like a mixing board, a DJ mixing board. So if you turn the courage up, you can keep the compassion up. That doesn't mean the compassion has to go down. Because how a conversation starts, 96% of the time, is how it will end. So if it starts harshly, there's going to be a harsh ending. Why didn't you get that report done on time? Damn it, now I'm going to be late. You do this all the time. Harsh startup. Can you kind of see where that conversation's going to go? Yeah. Versus soft startup. Hey, I'm wondering if we can have a conversation. I'm feeling frustrated because you told me you were getting that report done by 9 this morning and I haven't gotten it. And now I'm going to be late getting my part done. Can we talk through this? And you can see where there's actually a possibility to have some healthy outcome from that conversation. So that's the key. You want to balance courage with compassion, with curiosity, so that your teams can get the best results. They can have those tough conversations and create a psychologically safe space for all voices to be heard. And that's when you can have peak performance. So let's dig in and look at each of these 3 C's one at a time and do some interactive training and practice so that you can apply it immediately with your teams when you go back to work. Thank you.